This month's Geek Battle Cry, big thank yous and shout outs go to our monthly Patreons, Clay, Ryan, John, and Donna. Also, if you like any of our Grey Muzzle art, please find their other pieces and commissions info at quackquackhonk.com and the artist of our very own logo at To Improve Your Day on Facebook. If our intro gets stuck in your head like it does ours, be sure to check out the musician Pepper Coyote. All his works can be found and purchased on Bandcamp. Finally, be sure to check out our greater family of geekery. Weekly D&D every Monday on Twitch at Loaded Dice Adventures. Also, every Thursday, The Geek Awakens and produces more geek news for your listening pleasure.
Hi there, welcome to Grey Muzzle Geekery for the week of July 1st, 2019, episode 21. It's legal, I can drink now. As always, I am Dusty Red, and with me,
I'm Dusty White.
And we'll get into this week's news.
Riding some of the coattails of our successful series, Good Omens, Neil Gaiman's Sandman is getting a straight-to-series order from Netflix.
If you haven't been up to date on your surreal giant robot head drip, Neon Genesis Evangelion has found its way to Netflix on June 21st. Seriously, for a show that is released back in 1995, there's a reason it was so critically acclaimed and arguably one of the best anime of all time.
Melissa McCarthy is in current talks with the House of Mouse to play none other than the eight-tentacled temptress herself, Ursula.
And that concludes this week's news, and we'll get right into our usual nonsense. Hi, Dusty. What'd you do this weekend?
Well, this past weekend, we had a one-day event.
A one-day LARP.
A one-day LARP event at Alliance Southern Michigan, or Alliance SOMI. We've talked about them
colloquially
quite,
named as SOMI, yes. A bit of a drive for us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But it wasn't in a blizzard this time.
It wasn't in a blizzard. Our one-day experiences so far has been in a blizzard, and then we did get a hailstorm and a kind of a downpour.
True, about halfway through.
Kind of like we're getting one right now. So if there's no episode this week, sorry. Blame Noah's Ark, I guess. I don't know. But so it was an interesting trip out there, primarily because you were driving this time.
Yeah, got my little Sriracha, my little four-door beep red Chevy Spark to get some mileage.
And I'd forgotten for a moment that it had 4 doors when I went to throw a bag into the back seat and went, there's no handle. And then went through the passenger side, threw it in and looked over and went, there's 4 doors. And then looked back outside and went, there's no handle. Oh, it's on the top of the door.
It's one of those sneaky vertical handles.
Yeah, I love those. I almost got a car similar to that. And then I guess the big takeaway from the driving is I am also not a very good passenger. I pick on you for the slamming of the foot down on
the passenger side.
Yeah, invisible brakes and accelerators, and you nearly tearing my oh shit handle off anytime we pass by a truck. What was the term that you used for my little endeavor?
Oh, okay. So if you do not mind me divulging some of your personal information, but Dusty doesn't do cars well because he gets motion sickness.
It's not too personal. We talked about it in the past about some video games. Some video games do mess with me because I do get motion sickness pretty easily. If you want an idea of how easily I get motion sickness, if I am not driving and I am in a vehicle and I even read a billboard, I start getting nauseous. It does not take much for me.
So, whereas he does a lot of the driving to our events and whatnot, because I can be on the phone, we can be doing something, we can be recording episodes, we can be looking up maps, stuff like that. I'm a really good navigator, because I don't get motion sickness.
Uh-huh.
However, you apparently turn into the equivalent of a vomiting word person.
Oh, the best way you put it was verbally pacing. I couldn't move. I'm sitting in the passenger seat of a car, so I was verbally pacing for 4 hours.
Little to say, I got out Friday night or early Saturday morning to, oh my God, please stop talking. For two podcast hosts here who are normally very verbose with our words.
Yeah, we talk regularly. But,
This was at this point, I'm just like, please stop talking. I need 20 minutes of silence. I will strangle you to get it.
I mean, in fairness, I did turn off Pussycat Dolls so I could talk some more.
Okay, listen. You have supernatural rules. The driver gets to choose the music.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so we digress.
Yes.
Anyway, so tell me a little bit about the event.
Well, it was a one-shot, or not so much a one-shot. It was a one-day event, which for a lot of these particular, like, LARPs, will do a one day to either wrap up some storylines or to progress a smaller storyline, use it to kind of a community day for those that are in that game.
That's a pretty good description.
There's definitely a laxness to the game at that point. Like, especially since it's in July.
Right.
It's hot. So the game, you're eyeballing me with your new stupid little phone thing. I don't like
Don't make me use it.
I won't. So it like I said, it's good for community day. The rules obviously are in place, but there's other little things that become a little lax about the game. Just because this particular weekend, it was July, and it was like 90-something degrees outside. So makeup was not the greatest, at least in my regard, in my case. It was a smaller attendance, so it was more of the dedicated players, or I don't want to say dedicated players, because it was just one of those weird...
I wouldn't say dedicated. It's just... It tends to give an opportunity to get your LARP itch in the middle of summer, when a lot of the times we don't have a full weekend access to camps.
Sure. It is a good local thing. We're kind of crazy, so we'll drive 4.5 hours to go play for 7 hours.
6, 7, yeah.
Obviously, we have friends out that way, so thanks again, Travis, for letting us crash.
Right.
But we do have friends out that way, so it does make it easy, and vice versa. If there's games out in other locations, you do make friends through LARPing, so it can be possible to go crash at a friend's place on a Friday night and then go play on Saturday and then sleep at their place again on Saturday night and then go home on Sunday.
It allows for a little bit more outside camaraderie amongst the players that can make it. Even the ones that couldn't make it, we had a few players that came out for afters that night.
And that's the big thing about the Saturday night for the one days there's generally afters of some sort to go out and have some food and drink with the plot people to help remind everybody that it isn't an us versus them game.
Right.
In club.
And I would say that I really enjoy that about South Michigan. We would have it, at previous LARPs that I've done, we've had it, but it was usually like a Sunday afternoon, had to fight the church crowd, kind of just sit there and eat, Ponderosa.
I got food poisoning just thinking about it.
But no, the afters-like environment for Southern Michigan, they do a really good job making sure they walk around and get everybody's opinion and kind of converse with everybody, so it's not as cliquish as other places that I know I've LARPed at before.
And it does help that there's a multitude of owners and plot people on this game for South Michigan, so it is a little bit easier for everybody to butterfly around and to talk to everybody, and groups interacting with each other, and just I got the hiccups from my
apparently.
Yeah, the Sam Adams porch rocker. What? What are you drinking?
Sports brew.
Nope, shorts.
Shorts brew. Soft parade shandy. It's very good.
It's a fruit ale, yeah. But that's part of the thing, though, and that's actually where I got that beer, was being at afters with the Somi crew and trying different beers and talking to different people. And obviously it's a Michigan, like Michigan's pretty known for a lot of local beers. So they're like, did you try this? Did you try this? So conversation can go outside of
you
just
get to
LARP.
know your people a little bit better. You get to know the people you're playing with outside
Sure.
of just, hey, we just played 6 hours and outside in a camp,
And
a
there's
state
more,
park.
And there's more to talk about than just LARP too.
Yeah.
We call that the high-functioning LARPers. That have more to talk about than just the game. Hey, what are you doing? What are you interested in? And other interests and other things that you can do rather than just the very awkward conversations of like, okay, what else do you do beyond LARP? What else do you do? Like, okay, you made 6 characters and you're buying more. Yeah.
But I would highly suggest anybody that's interested in possibly trying out a LARP is look for these shorter adventure days or shorter one-day events to get a feel for the style of play, the fighting style. It was a really good event for 3 of our new players that will be becoming part of the play or part of the game. A family, dad, mom, son, they came and tried it out. So they saw kind of a little bit of the role play, the fighting aspect to get an idea. Is this something we really want to devote a whole weekend to?
And you nailed it on the head there is sometimes those one days do the way I kind of joke about it, but realistically, like if you're going to go brass tacks here, if you're not sure about the game and you go to a one day, you go in with an expectation of it is a one day, so you're only going to get a nibble of the experience. You're getting the Panda Express sample of what the weekend's going to be like.
Okay.
So if you like it, then there's going to be a lot more of it. If you don't like it, then at least you didn't just waste a weekend or
Time
whatever
off,
money or whatever else
a bunch of money, right?
to play. Whereas, or more importantly, maybe you learn that you don't like that style of game. Because maybe you do want to LARP, but you don't want to do a high fantasy beat 'em up with foam, and you just want to play paper scissors rock at a river walk or something.
Right.
Or maybe you like something a little bit more zombie apocalypse type, and your interest in that kind of genre goes in that direction.
Or even better, you find out what kind of character you want to play.
Sure.
You might go in going, oh, I don't want to learn any spells, or I don't want to do any of that kind of additional memorization.
You want to be the guy that goes lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt. But then halfway through, you're like, I want to go lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt.
Right. You be like, oh, I just want to play a simple fighter. And then you end up being like, nah, fighting is for, stick jacks. I want to be...
Whoa.
I want to be a spellcaster. So no, I encourage anybody that's looking forward to or possibly looking into doing any type of LARPing to maybe reach out and find some of those one-day feast events or one-day LARP weekends that they can get their feet a little wet and not have to...
Google's your friend.
Absolutely.
One of the NPCs, actually, I overheard somebody asked, like, where'd you find us? And they're like, I Googled LARP and found a LARP nearby. Land South Michigan was fairly close to where they moved to. So, I mean, obviously there's going to be a little bit of a distance sometimes, and depending who you ask, I mean, maybe times are different, but when I first started LARPing, I did not own a car. So I got a lot of my rides were
from local players.
From local players, and even not so local players. One guy in particular, Mr. Waller himself, would drive an hour to pick me up, drive another hour to the other side of the city to pick up somebody else, and then drive an hour to the campsite, and the campsite was 15 minutes from his house. So he would go out of his way for 2-3 hours to bring a couple extra players in, and we built a long-standing friendship because of which.
Yeah,
He's actually one of my groomsmen in my wedding because of it. So it's things like that where you meet people, and obviously I'm not sure how things are now, if they're still like, there was a point in time where it's like, don't take rides from strangers.
Now we order rides from strangers on the internet.
And they're here faster than our pizza. So, I mean, but jokes aside, reach out, see what the community looks like, catch a ride if you can, or, do whatever, and give it a shot. I mean, you got nothing to lose. I don't know. The one days are a lot of fun. And then, obviously, after the one day itself, we went out to Beer Heads.
Yeah.
It's a chain, because we have one nearby here in the suburbs.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, we're going to Beer Heads. I'm like, I know everything on the menu. I'm getting a pretzel the size of me.
Yeah, we went on Saturday. We did some hanging out on Saturday night. And I think more fun for me was the fact that our usual normal Sunday drive home plans were nicely interrupted by getting to walk around a town that we didn't know, and learn about a game that we both recently started playing, and we kind of talked about it last weekend,
Yes.
or last episode.
Go right into Harry Potter. Oh, Harry Potter.
Hazards.
Harry Potter's. It's Harry Carey's Wizarding World here.
No.
Go, Cubbies, go. No, Buzzy. Yeah, so we were kind of planning on like, okay, we'll get out, go grab some brunch, and then, make our drive back and whatnot. But again, our lovely hosts was like, you want to go for a breakfast? You want to hang out for brunch? You want to hang out for a drink? Like, I can show you around the city a little bit, and kind of take him out as well in a weird way.
Get him out of the house for
get him out of the house. But we all went out. And we had a couple drinks and got to play Harry Potter's Wizards Unite. Got to learn a little bit more about the game. I can say on a gaming side that it's been a while since I've been engaged in a game like that, where when we're doing the tower battles, I was playing the healer girlfriend. What?
You were like a
healer.
champ.
I was a magi zoologist, which is a healer.
Right.
I would have thought a professor, because there's the three classes: the Aurors. Shush. I'm a poser in terms of Potter World stuff, or Pottermore stuff. I know my house. I know my wand length. I know my Patronus.
So we were taking advantage of the fact that we were in a pretty populated area, or downtown type area, walking around, got to see the difference of some of the stops, which I would say I would love to almost kind of know what the algorithm of Pokemon Go stops versus what they use for greenhouses, inns, and towers.
And I should have, now that you mention it, I should have downloaded Ingress and used that as a third contact, point, or even the control, seeing as Ingress was the original game and the original map / model / whatever,
right,
for Niantic's augmented reality games, to see how many of those points exist, how many of those points are for one game or another.
Right.
So it's just one of those things of how different would all the stops be, where, even our host was saying, like, no, normally this location, what was it? He said it was a stop, then it was a gym, then it got changed back to a stop.
And then gone.
And now in Harry Potter, it's both a greenhouse and a stop and a tower.
Yeah.
So, like,
it's interesting for that aspect of it. I personally can say that I enjoy it a lot more than Harry Potter. Or, I'm sorry, Pokemon. I enjoy Harry Potter over Pokemon.
So what is your favorite aspect that you enjoy?
I enjoy the fact that it's more engaged. I can be more engaged in the game, because, let's face it, a lot of Pokemon is walk, one thumb, spin a ball, swipe.
Right.
That's all it is.
Or even the raid.
Even the raid is tap, 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 kind of fight, tap, 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 pay attention. And maybe this is just me and I'm not that competitive of a gamer in really any of my aspects that I play. But a lot of the raids were tap, 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 tap. Okay, 3 minutes of silence while everybody tries to catch the thing. And then, okay, we're going to walk to the next thing. Don't forget to heal your dudes and move on. So this specifically, going into a tower and having to have a smaller group, B, have more in different type of thing you're doing. It's more player friendly than individual. So that was a different aspect that I really did enjoy.
I am absolutely in agreement with you on there, where for me it was the engagement. It was rare to play a game that I had to, especially for like a Niantic game. Again, I've been playing Pokemon Go, since it came. Actually, even technically a day or two before it came out, because I was able to get the APK
Nice.
early and downloaded it and was able to kind of log in. It was glitchy and buggy and blah, 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 but I still got to play it. So I have a very early date on when I started.
And of course, you played Ingress.
And I played Ingress for a little bit. I found it by mistake again doing the... Where did I learn Ingress? Can't remember I came across that one, but regardless, it's a point of a lot of these games were kind of especially for Pokemon Go, because Ingress is its own beast, and we talked about that last week. It is an entity unto itself that cannot be compared to Pokemon Go or Wizards Unite.
Right.
That said, Wizards Unite did a really good job on emphasizing a level of engagement where you have to focus on drawing goofy symbols, which I'm still terrible. I cannot draw an M.
He kind of is really bad at it.
I am, like... I log in and it's like, welcome back, Michael J. Fox. Like,
so
I'm really bad.
Did you happen to... were you secretly a doctor in another life?
I think I was a doctor. That explains a lot. I'm a doctor now. No, it was just bad. But drawing all the symbols is really cool. But then there's an actual element of strategy. And it isn't a case of just like, oh, what is this guy weak to or what is this guy strong to? But like... Okay, do we have enough classes? Okay, well, before you jump in...
even we were able to beat one of the towers within, like, with 5 seconds left remaining. Because
I stayed back with just doing little heals.
Strategic you healing and me doing my little blips of DPS while one of the other Aurors was fighting.
Right, and that's the nice thing about it is you have, like, primary abilities and that like straight up combat abilities, but then you get class specific abilities. Mine are I can heal for like 2 points of healing every 5 seconds.
Right.
Well,
I like to call them like the WoW hotkeys.
Yeah,
it's essential. They're cooldowns. They got cool.
It's healing over time and damage over time. And so while our friend was engaged in combat, I cannot also engage in combat with that creature or that individual. So I'm just like sending in little healing. You're going to sneeze or fart? You got that face going on. I can't tell.
The beer went up my nose.
Oh, beer up the nose. There we go. So it's just, it was a very engaging game. And the fact that you could focus and play with each other. And I think that was the big thing that Pokemon was missing. While everybody was together, you hit the net on the hail on the Ned. There we go. More beer, please. You hit the nail on the head with... Everybody would just tap, 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 and then there's a couple minutes of silence. No real engagement. And then every now and then you hear like, yes, or congrats.
Right.
And that was it. Whereas here, we were literally strategizing. Like, okay, you fight this one. I'm weak to this guy, so you fight him. I'll stay back here and heal you guys. Next one, hey, I'm going to heal you guys both, and I'm going to fight this thing because I'm strong against spiders. Bag of spiders. But you guys are weak to spiders, or you guys are weak to this, and I'm strong to this. So I'm gonna heal you guys and do this, and then when you guys are done, help me take out my guy, and I'll go back to healing you. It's cool that you could do all of these little things in the game that doesn't require 20 people in a room. Tap, 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 spin. Oh, you win. Okay, moving on.
Right.
So it's just, I don't know, something about it, something more engaging, something more enjoyable about the game. So obviously we're not going to go too much further on this. If you haven't played it, give it a shot. It's fun. It's silly. I found some of our friends you aren't the only one that enjoyed taking selfies and like glamming them up.
I'm not. I know
this. So it's good to see that. It's good to have fun with those aspects. One thing I didn't mention, but I did tell friends that I thought was interesting, because right now you can't see friends like their icon or their photo or whatever they do for their portrait. Yeah, you can
only see their little guy.
And what makes me very interested in doing any kind of research or understanding of, I don't want to rain on this parade, but it is a case of who will be able to see those portraits, and will it become a level of danger where you have a stranger that
Wait. Do you want your sheet metal sombrero to put on?
Oh my god! Oh, that's not nice.
I'm just saying.
So we have the aluminum foil hat. What we also talked about?
The
tin foil.
Tin foil fedora.
The tinfoil fedora and the aluminum or the sheet metal sombrero. Because I'm a Rodriguez, get it? Not that kind of Rodriguez, smartass. Do you have to worry about predators or people with ill intent being able to stalk people.
And the fact that they have raids later on in the night.
They are unlike Pokemon Go.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, Pokemon Go is like, hey, it's 7 p.m. It's getting dark out. We're done here. Where Wizards Unite has from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. vampires and werewolves and other different creatures that come out that kind of encourage a later night play.
Right.
So I do agree with what our friend was saying, that the game seems like it is definitely geared for like 17 to 27-year-olds.
And that's kind of the age group for the people that grew up watching and listening, or I guess I shouldn't say listening, but watching and reading Harry Potter. That's our age group. It's a little less kid-friendly just because I guess I shouldn't say that. I don't know if Harry Potter has gotten into, school curriculum. It's probably more passed from parent to child. Oh, I really liked these books.
But even then, I think it's going to be... Pokemon is still one of those things that a 5-year-old could look and be like, aha, funny yellow mouse.
Monster, right.
Or just like, aha, funny yellow mouse. Or you get your some 5-year-old a Jigglypuff stuffed toy or something, and it's easier to get into and easier to show off, whereas Harry Potter literally has werewolves and
a little bit more scary or dark. There are more dark themes in Harry Potter. It has more adult themes. Yes.
It has themes of loss. It has themes of, like, the darkest that Pokemon ever got was Charizard's tail almost going out and dying. It gets pretty dark, but that's basically like that and Mewtwo concepts.
Oh, Cubone.
Oh, Cubone's kind of weird. You gotta read into Cubone. They don't emphasize that, but like, where's its mom's skull? That's so metal. But it is a case of, Harry Potter is made for young adults. The books are made for young adults. And the concept of young adults is someone that's going to be out a little bit later, someone that has a concept to rationalize and to think, and at the same time to be duped and to be, hey, I know this and this and this and potential kidnappings and other such things. I get worried about that stuff. I got little sisters. Leave me alone. I was raised in a police family and have 3 little sisters.
Exactly.
So I look at those things and look at the potential dangers there. I'm very curious to see what Harry Potter Wizards Unite does to address that. If they're going to allow you to do your pretty portraits, but it's only shown by you select people that you want to see, and everybody else will just see your house symbol or something else.
Right. That's a good call.
So then it's just hey, Dusty White knows what I look like, but Steve and his bag of spiders has no idea what I look like. I'm on to you, Steve. I'm on to you. So anyway.
So we will kind of transition that into something that I threw up on our Facebook today, and as well as our Discord. Animation timeline. So this was a topic that we were talking with someone that we actually picked up and took to the event this past weekend of how animation has changed over the last 3 decades.
Sure.
And some of it was talked about as shows we watched as children, into what we like as adult animation nowadays. Give me a rundown. What do you think?
First off, define adult animation. But yeah. I don't have that T-shirt. Don't worry. Oh man. I mean, where I start, where I'm at now, I'm still big into BoJack Horseman.
Okay.
That is existentialism.
Man, I have to be in the right mood to watch some BoJack.
No, you don't. You have to be like, just, if you want your day to be ruined, just start watching it. It's a great show. It's honestly, jokes aside, it's one of the few shows that I could say that I've watched where the thing that I was afraid that was going to happen looked like it was going to happen, and I covered my eyes. Like, I'm sitting on my couch like a child watching a scary movie, covering my eyes, rocking back and forth, going, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Oh, God, no. While I'm peeking through my fingertips, or peeking past, like, split fingers to, like, see, like, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? Yeah. It does a very good job of painting these scenes and painting these scenarios that are just like, how much worse can it get?
Right.
And then you go, oh, look, It got worse. Something about but it's still a very pretty show. They're like for being artistically unique. You know, weird animal heads, and they even reference a lot of that stuff, and some of the characters could fly and whatnot. There's the underwater scene. There's like an underwater episode where there's no talking.
Interesting.
And it's a very pretty and melodic episode.
So that kind of throws to one of our listeners was talking about today that in anime, they have to it's either got to be the story that holds them to watching it, or the art style. If it's one or the other, if it can't be one or the other, they're not interested. So for BoJack, especially for a couple of episodes that I've seen, the art style is subtle. You see the texture with some of the characters'
a lot of
skin.
watercolor type.
Yeah. And unless you're one of those tactile or artistic people, it's something you could never notice, or like you could go watching the whole show and never notice it. But for me, definitely noticed it maybe within the first 2 or 3 episodes and going, wow, okay, that's another level to it.
So let's start with you in the beginning. What was like one of your first cartoons or shows or something that just gravitated? Or you glommed onto?
I kind of glommed onto a very specific type of animation style. I don't know what you would call it. Maybe pre-anime or very Americanized anime. I remember really being into Mighty Max, Sailor Moon, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was more so because of my brother being older, but that
he's about my age, isn't he?
41.
A little bit older. Okay, yeah,
1977.
Okay, so it makes sense that he would been. So at that point, he was probably into the comics, or at least the darker version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles before they became very made for selling.
Yeah.
Well, they're made to sell toys.
And I remember, obviously, Transformers. I was going to say Autobots, but yes, Transformers.
You mean GoBots? Was it the Korean knockoff Transformers?
Yeah, exactly.
The GoBots.
So I remembered gravitating more towards that art style than something like... I don't think I ever really watched a lot of kid shows. I know my dad would get mad when we watched either The Simpsons or Red and Stimpy. Obviously, as I grew older, because I was right into the vein of Nickelodeon, Nicktoons. Doug, Real Monsters, Red and Stimpy, Rugrats. I ate those up. To the point of, those are ones that it's really hard to go back, and Becky, one of our listeners, talked about it today too, that almost set of cartoons that you just can't watch again because it'll almost ruin your childhood.
Well, that's stuff that doesn't hold up well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So I think I gravitated more towards that as I got older, and then I would say early teenage years, I was way more into anime. Fooly Cooly, even probably something I shouldn't have been watching at the time, but...
we call that hentai.
Not that far.
Okay.
I cannot think of the name. MTV...
MTV Oddities.
Yes, MTV Oddities.
So the Max, the Head... Aeon Flux.
That's the one I was trying to think of. She was one of my heroes for a long time.
I had actually forgotten that you knew about Aeon Flux until a couple weeks ago. We were out and a bug landed in your eye, and you just like, oh damn it! I know you didn't just Aeon Flux me, and I just stopped dead in my tracks, just like, what? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I just brain farted.
Oh, and Duckman. I watched Duckman. I know I shouldn't have watched Duckman.
Duckman was weird. Oh, USA's up all night. Oh,
yeah, exactly. Talk about adult animation.
That was weird. That was a weird. The Siamese twins. Yeah, no, I actually owned a good number of the comics with the Max. It was It was a really weird comic book, and I had it for a while. Don't know what happened to him. I think I lost it. One of my great
moves.
My great migrations away from another broad I can't stand, or something like that.
Just a tick on your timeline there.
Sure. The timeline of tragedy. Yeah. Uh-huh. For those that don't know, we're talking about animation timelines. I started putting together, because my memory's not great. And so I started to put it together, what I like to call the timeline of tragedy. But it's just a timeline, because obviously you just look on Google and you could find how to make your own timeline of stuff. Of recapping important dates in my life. Just so I could write them down, because I kind of forget things. And in some ways it's kind of fun to think a little bit.
And by fun, he means air quote fun.
No, it's legitimately fun to, depending on what you're trying to remember. If I'm I remember the first time I caught a foul ball, or I got this hockey puck from a game, compared to, oh yeah, I dated her.
Fair.
But also to help my own memory and stuff. So yeah, I have the timeline of tragedy to help me.
I'm ready. I'm prepared.
No, just do it. Get out of your system. Get it out of your system.
Done?
Get out of your system.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah.
We've decided to add sound effects for these tangents that he goes on.
You decided to add sound effects. I'm gonna throw your phone out the freaking window and not feel guilty about it.
So as the tangent sound effect that rung clearly there, hopefully, what do you find yourself gravitating animation wise to adults now? What do you see the trend is coming?
Oh, animation wise?
Yeah.
It's, realistically, we're seeing a lot of photorealistic stuff. I look at the Star Wars look at the Star Wars. I sound like an old man. The Star Wars.
Clone Wars?
But no, Star Wars in general.
Okay.
Star Wars has been using CG stuff to fill in for, lost General Tarkin is one of them, where it's a little stiff, and you said it yourself in, was it Endgame? Is it spoiler time yet? Can we Endgame spoilers a little bit?
I think it's okay.
But they CGI'd.
Oh,
Kurt Russell?
Hank Pym, or yeah.
Yeah, Kurt Russell. Not Kurt
No,
Russell.
not Kurt Russell.
He was.
Oh my gosh.
Come on, you got this one.
People are gonna yell at me. I can hear you right now.
I can hear Brooks yelling. I
Yes.
can definitely I can hear him screaming out, "Guys, it's him!"
It's Hank Pym's younger self, and I can't think of the actor at this.
But
they
CGI him. I think that's the animation trend, and it's hard to not call that animation, obviously, because
I would love to see back-to-back episodes of our old CGI cartoons, which was what Reboot put up against something like Star Wars: The Clone Wars that were mostly CGI.
Geez. Reboot. I actually liked Reboot. Okay. It just came out on Netflix. Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Is a great masterpiece of
animation,
modern animation,
of more than one art type animation.
And I think that might be, if you want to talk about what's the future, you didn't ask so much of what I like, but you asked so much of what could be the future, is maybe a mixed medium, something that takes, the soundtrack is killer.
Yeah.
So you have, that is still I don't say animation, but it's still a artistic expression to go with your visual medium, but then you use bright colors and the noir. They didn't have to.
It worked. You don't know.
They didn't have to. They didn't have to add the Spider-Man noir, but it added another level of colors.
The anime character
was a different style. They made a point to pick a variety of styles to throw them in here. So if you ask where I think the future is going to go, it's going to be mixed mediums like that and mixed versions. I would love to see another Into the Spider-Verse. I would love to see that same style and that same fluidity of, just thinking right off the top of my head of when Spider-Man was swinging in the big pit, basically,
right.
Thing, and he swings, Spider Sense goes off, and he turns and he stops in midair and swings in the other direction, it was super well done. It looked like it was it's just, I don't know. That kind of style I could see being more of the norm.
Do you feel like it was like groundbreaking doing something so unique like that it'll be like the Matrix of the comic book, animation style?
I don't want to say
be replicated, or do you think something different will come from it?
Ooh, that's hard to say, because you look at something like Nightmare Before Christmas, and then after Nightmare Before Christmas came out, how many stop motion movies came? I mean, Corpse Bride, and it's another Tim Burton thing, but how many of those movies came out right afterwards that used a similar style, or at least South Park with the paper mache style, or paper mache cardboard cutout style, whatever it is.
It was kind of stop motion too,
but they used that similar style and that similar technique. So maybe the techniques will remain and the techniques will grab, but everybody will have their own interpretation and their own flair to it.
Okay,
which is always good to see. I mean, you want to
inspire other artists.
You want to inspire others. You can do a little bit of imitation. It is a high form of flattery. At the same time, you do want to venture out on your own. I could see more smaller films being a little bit more bold. It's just very difficult for a big budget film to stray away from a formula that works.
True.
So if Into the Spider-Verse and that style works,
opens up that door,
then you're going to see that very same style probably in the next one, because now you have such high aspirations of it, it's going to be like that. Unless Into the Spider-Verse 2 does something left field that just goes, holy crap, did not see that coming. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I'm excited. I mean, I want to go back and watch Into the Spider-Verse now, and I just say, let's cut the podcast short, we'll leave, let's go watch Into the Spider-Verse.
All right, hold on.
Nah.
We have a couple of listener questions that are topic-based.
And if you want listener questions to be read on air here, obviously you can send us an email at greymuzzlegeekery@gmail.com. You could poke us on Twitter at greymuzzlegeek, or you could go to our Discord server, panel channel thingy, whatever it is. You can find us on Discord. It's a Discord server.
Yes.
You can find us in Discord. I don't know how. I can't really do it here because it's a bunch of letters and numbers. So you can find it in the show notes here. And join us on Discord, and we read a lot of the questions there and would like to see what you guys have in store or what you guys think. And so, Dusty, take it away.
So Becky goes ahead and writes us a really interesting question that says, what is on your bucket list of geekdom? Example, going to, say, E3 some year, going to LARP in Europe, or walking around Atlanta Dragon Con Parade.
Oh, I've heard nothing but good things about Dragon Con in Atlanta. So, I mean, I kind of teased a little bit. One of my LARP bucket lists now that's been added was playing on a volcano.
Right.
In Oregon, Seattle, out there. I think another, maybe, I want to go to Gen Con. I do regret not going to Gen Con when it was in Milwaukee.
Okay.
Because I lived in Milwaukee at the time when it was there.
Right.
I just never went. I mean, meeting Matt Mercer would be a pretty awesome bucket list. Like,
that makes two of us.
Okay, well, you like it for... I mean, but we can't talk about his movie.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad.
What was it, The Stone or something?
Oh, I don't remember.
It turned into a drinking game. That's how...
oh, gosh, it was so bad.
Love you, Mr. Mercer, but oof. Anyway, so give me one of your bucket lists.
I've gone to Gen Con. It's definitely an experience. I've gone a couple of years while it was in Indianapolis, and I think I would enjoy it more now than I had previously, just because I have grown as a gamer in general. I wouldn't be so hesitant to be like, oh yeah, throw me into a, random tabletop group. Now I think I would be much more welcome to that, especially with it 5.0 edition.
Oh, 5th edition, D&D.
5th edition, yeah. And being able to have the experiences of the couple of ones that we've played at First Squared and MCFC. So I think, what would be on my bucket list? Cosplaying. Cosplaying as anybody, honestly. I kind of look in awe when I see a couple of one of my old friends from high school is a so talented cosplayer, and she puts blood, sweat, and tears into some of her cosplaying, and I follow her on Facebook, and she just blows me away with how much detail she puts into everyone that she does. And she and her, I think it's her cousin, have their own cosplay company, basically, and they go from con to con and are so good at it that they are being asked to judge and get invited to cons to do that type of work. I think it would be something that in all my confidence of being a LARPer, a female LARPer, I guess I should say, I'm in awe of those people that can walk 5 to 6 hours around in something that sometimes is being held together by hope and children's tears and a little bit of duct tape, and really have that con floor experience.
Okay, we are used to stuff being held together by duct tape. Let's establish that fact right out the gate. I mean, we could go into a mild tangent there in terms of I cosplay my own thing.
Okay.
So I know what it is to be walking around in a full costume and being a character and whatnot, like with the suiting. So it's different. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, because I was going to say it's a little different when it's, okay, you know how you're going to look as your character.
You're trying to base it on a established norm.
Yeah.
I could have something messed up on my costume and I could
no
just say
that's
how it is, where you go, no, I'm Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop, one of my favorite animes. That is what I'm going for. So people who are obsessed with the show will look and be like, okay, there's the little white shoes and the thighs, and then the little yellow, shorty shorts and stuff, like all these little things that make the character. Yeah, it's easier to pick out. It's easier to find and easier to I was like, easier to nail. No pun intended. Jeez. So, yeah, I mean, I had that thought several times, like, what would I cosplay as? What would I do?
And I think that's my thing is I've watched enough anime over the years, and I've had favorites, Brotherhood, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Fairy Tail. I love Fairy Tail, and there's so many diverse characters there. But I look at it, or Soul Eater, I look at those and I go, none of those do I feel. And I know that's part of cosplaying, is cosplay about whoever you want to play, right, or whoever you want to cosplay. No, like, in theory, nobody's going to judge you. I judge me. I'm the hardest judger in the whole damn world when it comes to me.
Our worst judges.
But I couldn't imagine a character that I would be so in love with to put myself out on that ledge and walk around a con floor with, 1,600 people or 16,000 people if you're talking Gen Con, and do that. Like, hands off, applaud anybody that has ever done that.
And I guess before we go on to our next question, like another bucket list type thing, it sounds silly and it almost sounds backpatting over your house. I wanted to do a podcast.
Yeah?
Like, jokes aside, like, what's a bucket list geek thing or bucket list nerd thing I wanted to do? I wanted to do a podcast and tell stories about being a nerd, LARPer, gamer, furry, whatever you want to tag me in there, and my unique experiences that I've had over the number of years that I've been in a variety of these communities. I've played Dungeons and Dragons, like the original Red Box, or at least the original Red Box. I played 2nd edition as well. I knew what Thecka was. Still can't calculate it, but knew what Thecka was. And then obviously 3 and 3.5 were my bread and butter. I played the original Grey Book of Vampire the Masquerade. I've been, around the furry community since 1998. I've been to a number of conventions. I've LARPed for almost 20 years. So all of these experiences is one of those things where I went, yeah, I think I have some stories to tell and have some lessons to stuff I could share and give. So as cheesy as it sounds, there's definitely a level of one of my bucket list things was to make a podcast and talk about stuff. And so far, you all tell us how we're doing.
So I guess to kind of take a moment to shine the light on myself here, one of the questions that we got from somebody was, and hold on, I'm looking for your name. It's actually from Brooks.
Okay.
That to Dusty White, have you ever wanted to have an all-girl geek meeting / LARP / weekend thing?
Okay. Answer away.
I currently am a member of a small little group of friends that are LARP-oriented women. And we do get together and we have a great time when we hang out, and because they're all local and they're friends that I have acquired over the last, 13 to 15 years of LARPing. And we do support each other. It was started as a, hey, let's hold each other accountable for being healthier individuals and healthier people. And it blossomed into something that gathers more, let's get together more often type of thing. But I've always actually always dreamt of doing, and I guess this would be going towards a bucket list thing. I've always dreamt about being able to do a calendar with all of my female LARP friends. I'm a pretty avid photographer, and I enjoy taking photos and really putting people in positions that they look fantastic in, as far as either in their gear or just in photos that they're confident and they're having fun and they're enjoying what they're doing. I take a lot of candid shots, and I just would love to possibly produce something like that for either profit for the chapters that I love to go and play at, or for just the community as a whole. I've put a couple feet into the water. I haven't.
How many feet do you have?
I haven't been able to really. I need almost like a producer to take all the ideas I have in my head and make them happen. I haven't met my cohort in that exchange of information yet, but that's always been a bucket list of mine. And to kind of gear more back towards what Brooke is asking, I have definitely always wanted to, as a previous head of plot at another chapter, would always love to have done a girl plot team weekend. And it's something that I've thought about doing for...
I will NPC your all-female plot team just because I rather enjoy women telling me what to do. Don't kink shame here at Grey Muzzle Geekery.
So I would really like to make that happen at one point. I know I've said it previously that I wouldn't necessarily want to do it until I knew 2.0 rules a little bit better. I knew Nero pretty well, and that's why I knew I could take that head of plot position at the time. But currently, with the rules changed for Alliance, I would not feel comfortable being put into position to basically make rules calls all weekend.
Right, to make a call that could affect a character.
Right, I would want to be way more versed in the rules and things like that before I.
Well, we know the rules, but there's a difference between knowing the rules and like
affecting a group of people individually.
Well, it's knowing the rules and enforcing those rules,
right,
with utmost confidence. Because even then, somebody would be like, "Do you know this thing?" I will know the thing and go, "Wait, yes."
Right.
I have to think about it just to make sure. When you're rules committee, rules marshal and stuff, it really can make or break someone's event if a bad call is made.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've all been, I think a good chunk of people have been to some sort of sports event to see a bad referee call or heard of a bad referee calling, like, wow, that completely changed the face
Right.
of what
That
happened.
Super Bowl could have been completely
Whoa,
different.
that was pass interference. I do not want to hear that.
We are not Patriot supporters here.
No, I'm a diehard Bears fan. Don't get me wrong. I am sure. I am.
Sports.
And that's something that's probably going to happen when weather gets cold again and sports kick back up, because we're kind of in the dog days of sports. Like right now, it's baseball. That's all that's playing. Like basketball's done, hockey's done. There's some trading stuff going on. Football's done. Like
I don't know about you, but I've been watching USA World Cup.
Women's soccer?
So women's soccer. So.
You are so goddamn sexist. Is it about girls? I'm not interested. Jeez. All right. I guess we got one more question. Something that's going to make us weird.
Which one did you think about that one?
I didn't think about it.
Oh, okay. All right, fine. I'll throw this one out here. Who's the most unexpected bad guy group to fight in a fantasy setting from anywhere or anything? Example, the Gummy Bears.
Okay, so this
AKA thanks, Travis.
So this is for all of our listeners. This is our listener homework. We want you guys to hit us up on Discord, to hit us up on Twitter, to hit us up wherever, to give us some ideas of just a super villain team that comes rolling in and just like, boom, here we go. I mean, axe murdering David the Gnome would be freaking awesome.
Oh, that'd be. Oh my gosh. It is like Swift with blood dripping out of his face.
Well,
Swift ate your soul.
Swift's a tripod at this point. He's lost one of his front legs.
Worn.
He's just got one of his front legs is missing. He's running on his two backs. So he's not so much Swift, but Swaft.
Oh man, I don't know. Muppet Baby, like battle worn, torn Muppet Babies.
Oof. All right.
Like, was it current? One of them wore a diaper. I mean, guess they would all wear diapers because they were all babies. But all of them had like, Uzis and grenades strapped to their backs.
Straight up violent. Yeah, that's something we'll have to definitely come back with later and come up with some ideas of good guys. Or is it just good guys or any characters?
It says the most unexpected bad guy group to fight in a fantasy setting.
So unexpected would be that they're good guys being bad guys. So a good guy being a bad guy. Yeah, I think the good guy being a bad guy would be Thanos.
And on that, folks, good night.
All right, everyone. And as usual, I am Dusty Red.
And I am Dusty White.
Remember, we are all geeks. To be otherwise may very well mean to live without passion. Good night.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Grey Muzzle Geekery with Dusty Red and Dusty White.
You can support our continued geekery at our Patreon website, patreon.com/Grey Muzzle Geekery. Be sure to check back often as we start to add geek cred levels.
You can send your questions and comments to us at greymuzzlegeekery@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at Grey Muzzle Geek.
We can be found on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and Buzzsprout.
And a special thank you to Pepper Coyote for our intro theme. And if you like what you heard, you can find more of his stuff on Spotify, Patreon, or directly from his Bandcamp page.